So I've been doing this diet for a short period of time, and I am working to see the effects of that. Here's the thing, it's just like all the other stuff. You know, one diet might work for someone, it may not work for another. For instance, I tried a lot of different stuff along the way. I tried the Wahl's Protocol, and it was good up until the point where I had to start eating the organ meat. And for someone like me who's been a vegetarian since high school, you know, it's like, you know, and I tried it and I did it. You know, I cooked that liver and smothered it in those onions. And I tried it and I could not. Oh my God, it tastes like, I could not. I could not. I tried so hard. So I blended it. I put it in a blender and chopped it into ground liver, whatever. And then I froze it in little cubes and put it in the freezer. Oh my gosh. And I would use that little cube to put in a small part of my smoothie and reblend it. Take a part of my smoothie and reblend it with that cube, and then take it like a shot. It was so nasty. Like I couldn't. It wasn't something I could keep up with. And so if you're picking a food style to help your health, you need to be able to pick something that you can realistically be consistent with. And that's something, no matter how hard I tried and how bad I wanted it, I couldn't keep it up on a consistent basis. So it didn't take me that far. Now, it did, I think is validity to her theory on having a variety of fruits and vegetables, and I learned this also at Optimum Health, like having a certain amount of sulfuric vegetables, and then a certain amount of colored fruits, and then a certain amount of greens every day. I mean, I think that's optimal nutrition right there. You have, and she has 3 cups. So, but that's 9 cups of food, you know. And for me, that was also a struggle too, because I can't even eat 9 cups of anything in a day. Like, it's just not. It was tough for me to do. So that was when I couldn't really stay on the way I wanted to. But I took stuff from it and I used that as part of what I normally do. I don't eat processed food. I don't eat gluten. You know, I don't eat dairy for the most part. Eggs, that's my weakness. and I've had to, you know, well, not anymore, but yeah. So that was like the last thing. You know, this is the thing about food style. There's always these stories where people will say, oh, well, I heard that if you eat raw food, or if you only eat this protocol or whatever, then you can be good, you know. But they don't say how long it took, or how hard it was, or, you know, if it didn't work right away, maybe it felt like it got worse at first and then it got better, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on between you stop eating bread, or you eating some cauliflower every day, to you being cured. It's a long way. Okay, that's a long process. And the other thing that's tricky with that, especially with MS, and I don't think people understand this about MS, it is literally different for every person. It is like human beings. Like, it's like hits so much differently. So, for instance, you might have a relapse, and then you do all these things to try to stop them, and then they stop, right? There's no way to distinguish whether or not anything you choose to do or not do affects the MS, because the MS in its nature is unpredictable. It can come, it can go, it can come once, it can go, and relapse remits on its own cycle. Nothing anyone does, even the doctors know this, can can they directly correlate will be affecting the MS. You see what I'm saying? So like, I could do the same exact thing that she does and it worked for her, and we'd be in the same exact place physically, and then it not work for me because she's her and I'm me, and there's some difference there. So on some level, when you have MS, for me, I had to get to the point where I'm like, God willing, I can do this, or I am healing, God willing. I feel like I'm healing inside, no matter what it looks like on the outside, for one thing. So, but the physical part is not all in my control. And I mean, it's not all in your control, because if it was, you wouldn't have it. I'm pretty sure. I don't think anybody that has MS wants to sit up there and have MS. I guarantee it. Nobody is wanting to be going through this type of thing. It's one of the most frustrating phenomenons I've ever seen in my life, even known. You know, it's like, it's so random, so unpredictable. It can literally affect any part of your body in the most bizarre ways. And you can do all types of things to try to mitigate this and make, and change that and alter this and alter that and prevent this. But there's no definitive guarantee that anything that you have done altered anything, because you could have went in remission anyway. Like, that's the nature of the disease. So you might have went into remission if you ate M&Ms for 10 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might have still happened because it was going to happen anyway. But see, you don't know that, so you want to try to keep doing what you can do to try to affect that, and that's human nature, because you want to try to control what you can't control, or control what you can, and accept what you can't, but yeah, you gotta have the wisdom to know the difference, right? So, yeah, so that's the thing about the diet. It can really, I feel like my experience, it can be helpful, especially for symptoms. I've seen that, and I think that's a fact. I don't know if it is a game changer for progression. I'm not convinced anything is at this point, unless you reset your whole immune system and start all over. That might be the game changer for that. And that still kind of remains to be seen with that whole stem cell situation. But, as far as long-term, like, yes, I think that you should definitely, because your quality of life will be affected. And also other things, because just because you have MS doesn't mean you can't get nothing else. You can still get diabetes, you can still get high blood pressure, you can still get all these other complications from eating unhealthy. So I feel like it's important to recognize that when we're making suggestions to each other, or you're making a suggestion to somebody, or somebody's making a suggestion to you about what you should eat, what you should not eat, and oh, my auntie did this, or the lady on YouTube, this worked for her, and all good intentions, I know, but it's not that simple, because if it was that simple, honey, everybody would be doing it. This disease is all over the world, you know what I'm saying? Like, all over the developed world. And that's something that tells you something too, because why is it developed countries have these types of diseases? Because we're eating all this stuff that they're not eating. We have access to all these things that developing countries don't have. So, that's just, that's what it is. That's what God wills us to be right now.